Roxo Media House.
And they have fared well against FBS opponents in the past. 3rd and 12, Morris under pressure. He's got a canyon to run through. Chandler Morris with a first down. Oh, Putnam moves on for the touchdown. Chandler Morris, that was absurd. yards.
Welcome back to State of the Frogs. I am your host, J.W. Wilson, along with your head coach for your TCU Horned Frogs, Coach Sonny Dykes. Coach, last week you put the hammer down to the Nicholls State team in easy fashion, it seemed like. Thoughts on the game?
Well, it's good to get a win. College football, there's really nothing easy about college football winning a game. When you play somebody and you're a big favorite, sometimes those games can be frustrating for coaches. It seems like I was thinking back at all those games I've coached in where you're big favorites, and it's that mentality that you want to go out and score 56 points on the first possession is there, and so I think it always makes it tough to kind of play to your expectations. But, some good things came out of that game. I thought, obviously, defensively, I thought we really played well. I thought we played hard. Thought we played physical. All the things we wanted to see that we needed to improve on from the first week, we improved on, I thought. We covered much better on the scramble drill when the quarterback got out of the pocket. Still got a couple of throws that we have to improve on, but overall I thought it was a really good performance defensively. And then, offense was a little bit frustrating at times. We didn't run the ball probably as well as we wanted to, but I think, we tried to stick with it and really work the offensive line, and they weren't in some great situations just based on some of the things Nicholls was doing. But, we got some work done. Some guys made some plays. I thought Chandler, played exceptionally well, 26 of 30. And if you go back and look at the 4 incompletions, you can make the argument it could have easily been 30 from 30, in the game. So really threw the ball well. We didn't give up any sacks, very little pressure from their defensive front. So some things to be excited about, but also a lot of work that needs to be done.
Right. One of the interesting storylines to go back a week ago after the Colorado game, Johnny Hodges in his press conference basically called out his team. Sometimes that has a really good effect, sometimes not.
I guess you can say it's a wake-up call. I don't know how losing in the national championship by 60 isn't a wake-up call, but right now we're definitely the laughing stock of college football, having 22 missed tackles, having who knows how many missed assignments, making our defensive coordinator look awful, just making his defense look like it's a childhood kid's defense, and him getting all this slack. So if it's not a wake-up call, then I don't know what it is. So
my question, I guess, is how did that affect the team in your mind, and how did the team react after that thing? Because the video went viral.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I think. Look, that's one of the things really that I've preached since the very first meeting I had with the team a year ago or 18 months ago was, look, this is their team. We're going to be as good as they want to be, and what I mean by that is, the ownership. How much ownership are they going to take in the program? And are they going to be willing to be uncomfortable and call their teammates out when people aren't doing things the right way? And Johnny's one of those guys that's 100% bought in and committed, doesn't like to lose. I think that those are the kind of guys you want in your program, and I think everybody certainly respects him and his message. And, I think it was good for us. I really do. I think it was good for our players, good for our coaches, good for everybody in our organization to realize that we got to do better. We have very high expectations, very high standards, and we didn't meet them in week one. And our goal is to play as well as we're capable of playing, and that's always our goal. Anytime you coach a team, that's what you want. You want the parts to be better. You want the sum of the parts to be better than the individuals. And we weren't that way week one. We were closer in week two, still have a long way to go. But my goal is that we'll start playing well, and I think this team is very capable if we do.
It seemed like the team listened from several perspectives. There were some injuries we noticed. Savion didn't play quite as much as people were noticing. Is there any updates on his injuries you can share with us?
Yeah. Dalen Wright didn't play. He had a little bit of a strained calf muscle, but he'll play this week. Savion was kind of the same thing. He had some muscular things over the summer that had kind of plagued him this week, and we had an opportunity to rest him. He was also sick during the week. And John Paul Richardson played in a very limited role. And so those were 3 guys that, are really important players to us that didn't play much. I think John Paul played 1 play and the other 2 didn't play at all. So it's good to get those guys some rest. They're all doing better. I expect them to all be 100% this week. And it was good for some other guys to step up, and they had to, and so it was good to see.
A follow-up question to that injury, because normally coaches don't talk about injuries, especially to the press, because they don't want the next team to know anything. Generally, how do you approach stuff like that as on the injury perspective?
Yeah, everybody's got their ways of doing stuff. The players that play on Saturday are the players that play. I mean, there's, I know that when we have injuries, we've changed, or when we know our opponent has injuries, we've changed some of the things that we do from a game planning perspective. But I think in a lot of ways that's kind of overrated. All of our guys will be available Saturday, which obviously is important to us. And, I try to be as kind of honest and transparent as I can be without making sure, that we don't lose an advantage.
Mm-hmm. One of the offense is moving the ball. Obviously, the defense played well against Nicholls State. Obviously, your special team seems to be finding its own. Your coach, Mark Tomberdahl, who I happen to know very well from my time playing. Could you talk a little bit about Coach Mark Tomberdahl and maybe the strategies and the things that he's implemented with you that seem to be working so well so far?
Yeah. The good thing is, the base of special teams starts with a returning deep snapper, a returning punter, and a returning kicker. We're blessed to have all three of those. And so, we're pretty set in that regard. And so we have experience, and we got guys that we believe in and guys that have done it. So what that allows you to do now is really focus on developing the other parts of your teams. And so for us, we have some really dynamic returners, and kick and punt returns are always going to be big for our program. We think it's a difference maker. It's a way for us to get the ball in some really good athletes' hands in the open space and let them create some offense. And then our return units, our punt team, our kickoff unit are always going to be really, really important as well. And, one of the things that's a big difference this year as opposed to last is Griffin Kell is consistently kicking the ball in the end zone this year. And that's made a huge difference in our coverage units, and it's going to make a difference for us moving forward. So we have good young players on our team. A lot of those guys are starting to shine on special teams. And what happens is they earn their trust on teams, and that's kind of the first step. And they they go play aggressive and they go play confident, and they show that they can do their job consistently, and they usually get more reps on offense and defense, and then they start to get a bigger role, and that's how young players are born.
Yeah, obviously, with the 57-yard field goal you guys had and the block punt for a touchdown, those things never can be overlooked. They're so valuable when they happen. So
yeah, especially a block punt. I mean, you go and you look there's all kind of statistics in football, but the biggest one-sided statistic of all is you win the game 86% of the time when you block a punt. And so there's no other stat. Yards, turnovers, none of the stuff matters as much as blocking a punt. And so for us to be able to go out there and do that early in the ball game, I think created a lot of momentum for us, gave them their punt team problems all day, which aided in our field position, and it made touchdown drives easier. And so all those things go together, and it was a great way to start the game. And then, as you said, Griffin hitting a 57-yard field goal, it just gives us a lot of confidence in him and his ability to hit those things, and it was good to see him get on track.
Absolutely. We'll be right back from State of the Frogs with your head coach, Sonny Dykes.
We wouldn't be able to do the things we were able to do this year without the Flying T Club. So we got to continue to get people involved. It's more important right now than it's ever been.
Flying T is special. It's the best thing that I've encountered in college.
It allows us to be able to offset a lot of the costs that our scholarships aren't able to cover. If people like winning, invest in the Flying T Club and NIL.
It's almost a necessity now in the college football world. I mean, you got to kind of invest in the programs, and what you put in is what you get out.
Welcome back to State of the Frogs with your head coach, Sonny Dykes. This is the segment we send our producer out to the campus to ask a student a question for Coach Dykes to answer. This week's question is brought to you by our friends at Railhead. You ever go to Railhead Barbecue, Coach?
I do. Go every Monday night. Yeah, so it's we go Monday night for the radio show, and look forward to going.
Charlie sure knows his way around the barbecue joint, doesn't he?
Charlie knows his way around for sure.
This week's question, let's hear it now.
Hi, I'm Isabel Ferdinando. I'm from Boston, Massachusetts. I'm a freshman, and my major is film, television, and digital media. And my question for Coach is, how do you figure out what jerseys to wear on game day?
Coach, what do you think?
Isabel, good question. It's actually what we try to do is look at a bunch of different things, the opposing team and what they're going to wear. We want our uniforms to look different. Obviously, the home team wears a dark uniform unless there's some kind of special situation or special event. So we're going to either wear purple or black. So it starts there. And then what we try to do is match the looks that our players like. Also, too, if they have a color that's similar, we try to wear a different color helmet to try to get the helmet to stand out as well. And so a lot of times you're going to see looks that are a lot different than what our opponent looks like, and that's designed to make it easy for the quarterbacks and our players to recognize other players. And also, we're trying to wear light helmets during day games because it's really hot outside, and darker helmets when there's night games. So lots of things go into it, but that's kind of how it's done.
Thank you, Isabel, for the question. And to drill down on that topic one more time, when I played, we had one helmet here. There's obviously a few more options available. Since you've been doing this for a while, you've seen the morph into all the swag and the uniforms that go across the college football landscape. Why are uniforms and swag such an important part of what you do?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, this whole thing is about the players. That's why we have all this is for them to play, and they like to look good, and I think they play better when they feel like they look better and they have confidence and feel that swagger, like you said, and what comes from that. And so, I think young people like different looks and like things that are exciting, and so I think it's our job to provide that to them and gets our guys excited, gets our fans excited, and that's what you're looking for.
We will be right back to preview next week's opponent, the Houston Cougars.
Simply the best barbecue in Fort Worth. Dine in, catering, or drive-through. 2900 Montgomery, just off I-30. Remember, the best barbecue in Fort Worth is at Railhead Smokehouse.
We're back here. You're watching the State of the Frogs with your head coach, Sonny Dykes. Coach, let's talk about the Cougs, this week's opponent, Saturday night, Houston, Texas. What can you tell us about the Houston Cougars?
Well, good football team. They've played two really hard-fought, close games. Played a game where they beat UTSA, kind of a low-scoring game. And then got into a little bit of a shootout, got off to a bad start last week against Rice and lost in overtime. And so they're a good football team. I mean, when you look at the strength of their team, they got a really good defensive front. I think they're built strong up front on really both lines of scrimmage. I think both their tackles are good players on offense and a good football team. As you would expect from Houston, they're always going to have good skill position players. Three really good receivers, two guys that can really run, and then somebody that works the middle of the field that's a really good route runner and a good athlete as well and can catch the ball and is very productive. A quarterback that's got a lot of experience, started last year at Texas Tech, has transferred over to Houston. We played against him last year. Really, really good runner, big, powerful guy that can move the pile, can get first downs. Anytime you face a running quarterback like this, it's always a challenge. And then also a good thrower and really throws well on the move. So their offense will present a lot of, difficult things for us. Defensively, again, built up front, really a good couple of pass rushers, 9 and 10 are two really elite level defensive ends and kind of outside linebacker guys that can move around and pressure the quarterback, and some experience on the back end, some guys that can cover, some length. Just an overall good football team. And again, as you would expect, a really good returners. They've always got speed and guys that can get their hands on the ball and do something with it. Had a long punt return against UTSA. And so, some guys that have done some good things for them.
Right. So conference opener for us, first Big 12 conference game for Houston ever. So hopefully this turns into a lovely in-state rivalry for us. It's obviously a natural rivalry once we start playing.
Yeah. They'll be excited to play. They really will. I mean, they lost a hard-fought game last week against a rival. Playing the first Big 12 game at home in their history. So I'm sure it'll be a sold-out crowd. I'm sure it'll be loud. I'm sure their players will be excited. It's a great opportunity for these guys to get on the map, and so we're going to see their best effort. We're going to see an excited team, a team that's got their back against the wall, and a team that's going to come out and play really well. So, our guys understand that. They know what the challenge is going to be, and they're looking forward to it.
Let's talk about somebody that I think you know quite well, head coach of the Cougars, Dana Holgorsen. You guys have history together. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So actually, Dana and I think we first met in 1997. I was at the University of Kentucky, and Dana had worked with Hal Mumme prior at Iowa Wesleyan, had played for him and worked for him, and had been at Valdosta State with him. And so Dana and I have known each other really since then. We met then and then worked together from 2000 to 2006 at Texas Tech. So we spent a lot of time together. We're close friends. He's a really good guy, really good football coach. Has done a really good job at Houston. I think the success he's had is really the reason why they're in the Big 12 right now. And he's got a lot of things going down there in Houston. They're building facilities. They've got a great indoor facility. They're doing a bunch of stuff right now. They have a relatively new stadium, and so the investments there. Certainly, they have a great city to recruit from a talent standpoint, and they're always going to have really good players. And so, a lot of history together. We spend a lot of time together, and he does a really good job coaching.
When you know somebody that well and you know what makes them tick, obviously Heath probably knows enough about you to give him some advantages and vice versa. How do you prepare for somebody like that you obviously have known for such a long time? Is there a trick to it?
You just kind of know the personality of their team. We're going to get a kind of a no-nonsense, tough-minded football team. And that's what Houston's going to be. I mean, they're going to play really hard. Dana will get them excited. Like I said, without a doubt, they'll be fired up, and he always does a great job doing that. So it'll be a big challenge.
Well, thank you, Coach. I appreciate the outlook and the in-look of all the stuff we're doing. Before we go today, Coach, today is September 11th, 22 years since that tragic day. You were back at Texas Tech, I believe. Can you take us back a little walk through your day when that unfolded for you?
Strange. Yeah, it was funny. We kind of heard about it. I was at the McDonald's drive-thru and got a phone call from someone that was kind of aware of what was going on and turned the radio on and started to get reports what was happening. And we all got to the office and when the coaches started coming in, we turned on the television just like everybody else and kind of sat and watched everything unfold. We were in a little bit of a unique situation. It was a Tuesday and we were playing a Thursday game. And so, we had very little time to prepare. So we actually went out and practiced that afternoon. I'll never forget going out and practicing and being on the practice fields and seeing a bunch of military aircraft flying around and doing things. And, there was obviously a lot of uncertainty about what was going on, certainly with the bigger events, the things that happened in New York, but even, just trying to decide if we're going to play a football game and that kind of thing. So it was certainly something that we'll never forget. My daughter was born on September 11th. Allie, it's her 15th birthday, and so it's kind of been a special day for us, a special day of remembrance. The stories that have come from that have been really inspiring, and it's been a pretty remarkable chain of events.
Well, happy birthday to your daughter Allie. That's kind of a unique thing. I always find it interesting that the kids that you coach and kids that we're around nowadays with TCU in high school, not one of them was born until after that event happened. It's like we all know this day like it was yesterday, but nobody that you touch anymore is around.
Yeah, it is pretty strange. Yeah, it's something that, I think as coaches and educators, we need to do a good job of trying to teach our players about what happened and the courage and the tragedy that happened on that day. And, certainly something that we talk about all the time with our family, and have spent a lot of times kind of sitting down talking about it. And as they get a little bit older, it's we can be a little bit more thorough in terms of what happened and why and all that. But it is obviously something that's really important to us all.
Well, thank you, Coach Dykes. I appreciate the time, and good luck this Saturday with Houston Cougars. Thank you. That's State of the Frogs with your host, J.W. Wilson. That's your head coach, Sonny Dykes.
Roxo Media House.